Board of Education meeting tonight, 2/16/2021, 6 o'clock. Oh, Dr. McDonald, how are you?
Hello.
Good to see you.
Apparently had some trouble connecting.
That's all right. We've had a couple others that have had that issue also. I would like to start the meeting out. We need to get approval on the meeting agenda as presented.
I'll make the motion that we approve the meeting agenda as presented.
Okay, and Paige, we have a second. All right, thank you, Paige. All those in favor of voting for the meeting agenda as presented, say aye or wave your hands.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Seeing there are none, motion passes. Okay, next on the agenda is our presentations. This is a chance for school board members to talk about things going on in the district or things that they know maybe about what a student might have succeeded doing or a teacher. Do we have any board members that want to make any comments?
No comments for me.
Okay.
I just want to say, make sure that everybody please stay safe out there. They've talking about we're going to have another 4 inches of snow and ice coming in from starting today till Friday. So please be safe on those roads if you have to go out.
Agreed. I think that Dr. McDonald, you made a great decision to keep us virtual for the rest of the week, and I don't think we had any other choice. But things are getting progressively worse. I was supposed to be in Lexington at 10 o'clock this morning, and that didn't work out. I was afraid I wouldn't get back. So anyhow, here we are. I do want to say that we've had a lot of good things going on in the district, even though having to meet virtually is hard. We don't get into the buildings and see the kids and see the teachers, but I will say we are a resilient bunch, and whatever we're confronted with, we face and we take it like we need to and move on. And so we're always here for the kids. So that's, like I said, I've been involved with the Danville schools now for 30 years. I'll never forget when we moved here. I said, do you mean our kids can walk to school? It's like a block away and they can actually walk to school. And my wife, who went to the Danville school, said yes. And I said, man, that's fantastic. I said, so when the kids transition from Tolliver, are we going to move to the Bate neighborhood so they can walk also? She said, I don't think so. But anyways, it's been a great experience for our family, and truly have enjoyed the years that we've been in the school district. When I finish up this term, it'll be 16 years on the school board, and I've served in other capacities in the district, and it means a lot to me. It means a lot to my family. So anyways, yay Danville. Paige, do you want to comment?
I don't think so. No, I'm tending the flock right now, so I'll just listen.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, let's move on to superintendent comments. Dr. McDonald?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Becker. I do want to follow up on the comments that were made about virtual, and we did make the call to be virtual through the end of the week. However, just for all of our parents and families that are listening to the board meeting, still keep an eye out on social media and for those all calls. If we end up with a large amount of power outages here, in the city of Danville, then we may have to switch to an actual snow day. So, we'll keep an eye out and watch for power outages. So that's just a little side note for everybody. A couple of things I just wanted to mention, and some of the things are in the past, but still wanted to mention those is, as everybody knows, that February is Black History Month, and just want to, say kudos and a shout out to all of our teachers. They've had some really strong lessons. I've been very impressed to see some of the work that they've done. But I also want to note that Black History is not just a month out of the year for Danville schools. I see these strong lessons, and information given to our students around Black history and guest speakers throughout the year. So kudos to our teachers, but also a shout out to the fact that it's just not a month for our teachers and our staff members in our district. Another thing I want to give a shout out is to the high school academic team. they won the 17th consecutive regional quick recall title in first place overall. So congratulations to the coaches and the teachers for that. And then even though these two items are a week out, I still want to mention that the very first of this month, we had National Counselors Week, February 1st through the 5th. So I know a lot of you saw some great things on social media, but just want to do another shout out to all of our counselors that we have in our district and what a great job they do. And then following that, February 8th through the 12th, we had National Frisky Appreciation Week. And what a great job that group does. And we did have some conversations at our last board meeting about that, but I just wanted to call both of those out again for the great work that they do, our counselors and our Frisky team. Thank you.
Totally agree, Dr. McDonald. It's like I said, we've got a really fine school district and couldn't ask for better staff and employees. It's always a good day to be an admiral. Next on the agenda is we've already reported on personnel notifications. Is that correct from last week, Ms. Osborne? Okay. So we can move on that one. So now we need to get approval of the previous meetings. Can we have a motion, please?
I make a motion of the approval of January 13th, 21 and January 19th, 21 meeting minutes as submitted.
Second motion.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 5 on the agenda is time for reserved for the public. We have about 13 speakers. We are looking at a 3-minute for each of the speakers. I think they know what we ask. They have each 3 minutes to speak. Mr. McCowan, who's our vice chair, will be the timer. Once we get to 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Mr. McCowan will interject and say 30 seconds. And then once we get to 3 minutes, then I'll say that and thank the speakers for contributing, and then we'll move on to the next. So I also ask, in which we had no issues last week, that we keep everything civil. That we're here as the Danville Schools family. We're not here as Danville Schools enemies. I think we all have the same goals. We're here to take care of our kids. They're number one priority. And so I do ask the speakers to please, let's don't do name calling. Let's don't do derogatory remarks. Let's don't do any of that. It's not what I would like to see us do in Danville. Our first speaker is Susan Parks.
Mr. Becker, there
Yes.
are a couple of people in the waiting room that I don't recognize the names. It's a different name than somebody that signed up. So if you're listening and you're scheduled to speak, if you will just send me an email and let me know who is who. If you have a different name than the one you signed up for, then I can let you in. I don't see Susan Parks right now, so we can move on. And then if she were to appear in the waiting room, I will let you know and we can let her in as soon as we see her.
Okay, that's fine, because her email address was going to amazing places or something like that. Does that help?
No, I've got the email address. It shows a name in the Zoom. So
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully we'll get her back and have her speak. All right. Our next speaker listed is Terry Graves.
oh, never mind. She just appeared. Let me.
Susan did. Okay.
Miss Parks. Yep. Miss Parks is on
Okay.
her way in.
All right. Perfect. Susan, how are you doing?
I think she froze up. There you go.
Susan, you have 3
Yes.
minutes to speak to the board.
Can you all
And
hear
then
me?
once we get 2 minutes and 30 seconds, we'll let you know that you have 30 seconds left. So the podium is yours.
All right. Thank you, Steve, and the board for allowing me to speak tonight. John Quincy Adams said, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. A couple of weeks ago, I, along with countless graduates, parents, supporters, and fans, were shocked to learn of the firing of Coach Clevenger. Beyond his winning record as a coach, he is a true leader for the players, the youth football program, and his community. He displays character that young people will look up to and learn from. He teaches hard work and self-discipline and accountability, which are foundational components for success. People from Danville are who Danville is. Growing up right down the street from the high school, I attended my first high school basketball game when I was 4 years old. Growing up in Danville, I was a child that lacked confidence, which affected my outlook, my behaviors, my potential for success. I'm here tonight with the confidence to speak to you because of the leaders in my life who took an interest in my potential and encouraged me. People like Coach Steele Harmon, Jim Traxel, Patsy Farmer, Mike and Carolyn Swain, and even Coach Gippy Graham of Boyle County High School. All of them leaders with an ability to look away from themselves and look inside the children that needed more. My support of my alma mater is just as strong today as it was when I was cheering that very first game that was held at Admiral Stadium. In doing research today, I found that Danville High School is in the lower half of Kentucky schools in math and reading comprehension, according to the Public School Review. I believe that as an educational institution, this board and this office should put their effort into fixing what we have that is wrong in the system rather than destroying what is good and what is right for our community. In Danville, we love our own. We support our own. I don't know Coach Clevenger, but I know what I've seen in the past 8 years beyond wins and championships. I've seen a program that develops character in young men, many at risk, who would never have had the chance to go to college without his guidance. His record of scholarships for his players is unequaled. And isn't that what we're truly called to do as educators? Aren't we called to mentor, uplift, and encourage students for higher aspirations so that they know that nothing is impossible?
30 minutes.
What you have done is taken away the only role model many of these students will ever know. He was an all-state player on a championship team who came back to give back. He is an advocate for children to be their best, regardless of the obstacles faced in their personal life. His positive influence is obvious, and it's so much more than wins and losses. It's about building confidence, strength, to character for each child's future success. I
Time.
that you reverse your decision to fire Coach Clevenger.
Steve, you muted.
Technology. Susan, thank you very much for speaking to the board, and appreciate you being here and taking the time. Okay, our next speaker is Terry Graves.
I do not see Miss Graves in the waiting room, so let's skip her, and then if she were to appear, I will let you know.
Okay. So Will Kirk is our next speaker. Hey, Will. Can you hear me, Will?
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, we got you now, Will. Thank you very
All righty.
much. You have 3 minutes to speak. Mr. McCowan, who's our vice chair, will interject 30 seconds when you have that left. So forgive the interruption, and the podium is yours.
All righty. My name is Will Kirk, DHS class of 2015. I live and work in Louisville these days, but Danville will always be my hometown. I've never been one to make Facebook posts and speak out, but I felt obligated to speak tonight, not because I think anything I say will move the needle to correct the course we are on. I'm speaking up tonight because I want a clear conscience with no regrets, knowing that I did everything I could for the district and the man that did so much for me. I'm a fourth generation Admiral on both my mother and father's side. I grew up thinking being an admiral was a birthright. Just put the jersey on and everything will fall into place. Turns out I was wrong. What I learned is best described by esteemed Navy SEAL veteran David Goggins. He projects that the majority of people tap out at around 40% of their potential. Our minds are engineered to act as a metaphorical governor of our own potential, to live in a comfortable state by flooding our minds with excuses. Despite the efforts of great coaches like Coach Hart and Coach Perry, me and my teammates were eaten up with making excuses, blaming everyone but ourselves, and riding the coattails of past state titles. For 6 straight games from 2009 to 2012, we would line up and play Somerset, and each time they would punch us in the mouth and we would lay down and basically quit. Despite all of our pregame hype, I saw fear in my teammates' eyes. Things changed on October 11th, 2013, Coach Clevenger's first year. Me and 19 of my remaining teammates went back down to Somerset. After our victory that night, it hit me. It was something bigger than the thrill of victory. We were different. I saw the fruits of our labor and the value of power of what positive culture can do. It all started with Coach, but he taught us that we all had the responsibility to do our job for each other. The foundation of a successful culture was laid that night in Somerset. 4 years later, I was studying overseas when we won our 11th state championship. I didn't go out with my friends that night. I sat alone in my dorm room and streamed the game. I cried tears of pride and joy when we won, and a bigger tear of gratitude when Coach Clevenger gave equal credit for the victory to the first guys that helped establish the culture.
30 seconds.
Today, it appears the current administration's leadership style has yielded a toxic culture and shredded the confidence of longtime supporters of the Danville schools. This last part hurts me the most, but if I were raising a family in Danville right now, I would have a hard time letting them know what it feels like to be a 5th generation admiral. Thank you.
Steve, turn on your mic.
I'm going to get that down one of these days. So, but we do appreciate Will Kirk speaking before the board. Our next speaker is Tricia Jarnigan. Hey, Tricia, can you hear me?
Yes. You see and hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yes.
Appreciate you being here to speak before the board. You have 3 minutes.
Okay.
And then at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Mr. McCowan will say 30 seconds, and then we'll proceed on from there. So the podium is yours.
Right, thank you. So good evening. I'm Tricia Jarnigan, and I served as one of the guidance counselors at the high school from 2015 to 2019. My last year was spent under the current higher administration. So thank you for taking the time to listen to our voices, and I hope that they resonate and result in meaningful action. Let me start by saying that there are wonderful, caring, effective teachers, staff, and school level administrators in the Danville district. I say none of this to take away from the hard work they have done and are continuing to do. With the change in administration at the top level my last year came a general shift in the energy. I understand that with different visions come different methods of leadership. I expected that to some extent. However, I believe that leadership is an action. Leadership is an example. Leadership is not just position or title, and leadership is certainly not tyranny. And I personally felt a void of leadership at the highest level. At the school level, my principal valued the relationships that could exist with students in the unique position a guidance counselor holds. Those relationships can only be built with intention and time. One of those was stripped from me my last year. I had to shut my door to students, literally, so I could complete the administrative paperwork that was expected of me of this administration. I say that to paint the picture that it no longer felt that the students' true needs came first. My perception was that the leaders of the building itself were no longer able to lead in a way they felt best served the students. This appeared to exist up to the point of the leaders no longer having the authority to hire and non-renew their own staff. Leaders who knew their kids, leaders who knew their staff, and leaders who cared. I was pregnant. I had an active FERPA complaint against the district. I'm a military veteran. I'm a DHS alumni. I was a parent in the district. I'm a licensed therapist with over a decade of experience. I'm a nationally certified counselor. I'm a rank 1 certified guidance counselor. I never had any formal write-ups. I had 0 negative evaluations. I was fired without the approval of my principal to my knowledge, with no cause given, no reason, no explanation. I was fired by someone in a pink suit with a smile. It appears that this level of disregard for human decency and respect continues still, which is shocking when it's written in the Danville Code of Ethics itself to strive towards excellence and recognize the importance of the pursuit of truth. So I challenge you to set the example of following our own code.
30 seconds.
Many great educators and staff members already. Please do not allow an administration to continue unchecked who's done this to countless others, the last of whom was Coach Clevenger. I personally was ready to be done with all of this. I was done giving this administration any more of my time and energy. They certainly don't deserve it. But Danville does. These students do. These students deserve adults who will make themselves uncomfortable and vulnerable for their sake. So here I am, and here I will stay, to speak in often and as candidly as needed.
Time.
Got it. Tricia, thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank you all.
it. Okay. Our next
Mr.
speaker.
Becker, we have Mr. Becker. We have Miss Graves now. I'm going to go
Okay.
ahead and let her in.
All right, Terry Graves. Hi, Terry. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am. You have 3 minutes. Mr. McCowan will let you know when you have 30 seconds left.
Okay.
And the podium is yours.
All right. Thank you all for allowing me to speak finally. I'm a 1996 graduate of Danville. I have children that were 2016 and 2018 graduates of Danville, and I currently have an 11-year-old that plays football at Bate. I'm also a member of the Diversity and Equity Committee that was established with the schools. I'm also a founding member of United for Change. With that being said, I thought that this committee was established to try and create more diversity and equity within the schools, to help the minority and speak for the kids. The superintendent and her assistant took off with this, and they were down for the cause. But I'm starting to think now that it was all for show, just another check in the box, something for them, you know, to look good for themselves and make it look good on a resume. How can you support and be head of a committee that's for minorities within the school, yet take away the mentors and father figures that they look up to? Not to mention some before them that have done the exact same thing, but were forced to resign or relocate somewhere else. How can you promote equity when there isn't anyone at the school that looks like the minority student? I feel as if something that's near and dear to my heart was taken advantage of and used to make themselves look good, basically. So you see, this is bigger than football. This is about the future of my son. I want someone to tell me what to expect when it comes to my child being a student athlete here. How can you assure me that every option will be given to him to make sure he's successful upon graduation, like Coach Clay has given to many others? I don't even see you all implementing anything to help these kids with what's going on during this situation. So many kids transfer out of this district to go to others, and no wonder they do. Just look at the events that have transpired and how they have been handled. There is no communication. And you have to understand that this community deserves better. Those kids deserve better. To be an administrator of the school and not acknowledge the very people you were selected to serve is classless and outright disrespectful. You don't have to tell me why you let Clay go, but you have to tell me, and I mean, I demand that you tell me what direction you're going in. So as the board, you have to stand up and hold someone accountable. The current administration is not keeping those students as their top priorities. So I'm asking you to find someone who will. And I've sent letters to the superintendent, no response. I've sent letters to the board, and 2 board members have responded. And I'm hoping now that you all will at least acknowledge those emails. Thank you.
Terry, thank you very much for your comments and your willingness to speak before the board.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Clay Albright. Clay, can you hear me? Clay, very much. Okay, can you hear me now, Clay? All right,
Yes.
got it. 3 minutes to speak. Mr. McCown was keeping the clock. When you get to 30 seconds left, he'll interject 30 seconds. And then now the podium is yours. Thanks.
Members of the board, I come before you all today to clear a few things up. Although this entire situation we find ourselves in started with the firing of Coach Clevenger as our football coach, it's uncovered so many disturbing actions by Dr. McDonald that it has now been requested by multiple people that you as a board investigate her actions over the course of her tenure as superintendent and evaluate her competency to continue leading our district. There are many well-documented cases of her retaliatory actions against staff in the district who speak out for any reason, most notably against multiple teachers in Danville that gathered with KEA officials a year ago just prior to the Child Development Center debacle and COVID showing up. We've come to learn that Dr. McDonald has wore pink suit when she hands out pink slips to district staff. Many teachers have confirmed this, with one even saying she seemed to enjoy terrifying the staff. Is this the behavior we want our leader displaying? We've also learned that Dr. McDonald seems to find a way to remove nearly all of our homegrown minority educators. I know 6 male minority Danville alum who have worked within the district, but were forced out with questionable reasoning. It's sure hard to diversify and grow our staff when Dr. McDonald is pouring Roundup on it. What has come to anger me more than just about anything else is how our district administration, led by Dr. McDonald, has still not contacted players on the football team or assistant coaches. She's allowed them to sit in limbo without showing them the dignity of a response or explanation as to what was ahead for them, not even the courtesy of a short email to the student athletes' school-issued emails. In fact, it took one of the football players emailing the Danville principal requesting a meeting for that to even happen. That's right, a student had to reach out first, not our administration. I'm involved in many organizations in Danville and have never crossed paths with Dr. McDonald in any of them. She isn't involved in our community, has shown no effort to do so, no effort to grow long-term roots here, and no effort to build the kind of relationships that we should expect the top official in our district to want. Her lack of presence in our community and our schools speaks to the kind of person she is. I'll never forget my first encounter I had with Dr. McDonald. I served on a group that helped design the Danville logos. We decided on a logo, and then she decided our group's choice was wrong and changed it without much consultation from us. She told us to, quote, pick our battles, saying a logo wasn't worth the controversy. So I sit here in closing, saying that over the recent weeks, we have decided to pick our battle, a battle to win back the district we all love and save it from its myriad of public relation nightmares caused by decisions made directly by Dr. McDonald, a battle to have our top official be someone who shows respect to her staff, students, and community.
30 seconds.
A battle to have a leader for our district that believes in transparency and open communication. A battle to have someone at the top that values our homegrown talent and diversity instead of pushing them away. A battle to have our leadership more accurately represent the amazing teachers, staff, and administrators that Danville is so lucky to have. We've become a statewide embarrassment over the past couple of years, and there is one person directly responsible for this, and that is Dr. McDonald. Make the change now before it's too late.
Okay, Clay, thanks so much for your comments. Our next speaker is Joseph Alcorn. Oh, I'm sorry. Amy, you're next. I apologize. Amy Williams.
Still trying to connect to audio.
Okay, we'll hang in there.
Mr. Becker, do you want to go on to the next speaker and then we'll see if she appears, and if she does, we can go to her right after.
That'll be fine. There she is.
Never mind. Never mind.
Amy, can you hear me? This is Steve Becker. Amy. Brian, is Amy connected? I mean, we've got her picture.
Yeah, we've got video. We just don't have sound.
Okay. Okay, Amy, can you hear me?
Hey, Steve, if you don't see that mic, her voice is not on.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping. Hey, Brian,
Yes.
why don't we move on, and that would give you a chance to get Amy. I think it's the sound that we got the video. We just don't have the sound.
Okay.
Okay, and let her know that she'll definitely be able to speak. So our next speaker is it going to be Kirby? Hi, Kirby. Or is it Joseph? You need to unmute.
Hi.
That's okay. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Is Joseph going to speak, or is it you?
No, it's me. I'm speaking for Joseph.
Okay, that'd be great. Okay, I'm Steve Becker, and Kirby, welcome to the board and your willingness to speak on issues concerning the district. You have 3 minutes, and then Mr. McCowan will, at 30 seconds left, will jump in and say 30 seconds, and then we'll proceed from there. So the podium is yours.
Okay. Good afternoon, board members. Most of you guys know me. If you do not, let me introduce myself. My name is Kirby Harrison Alcorn. I graduated from the class of 2018. I served as student body president, was a member of the girls basketball team, volleyball team, and managed the 2017 state championship football team. I was very thankful for the coaching staff, Coach Clev, Coach Dunn, Coach Singleton, Coach Young, and many more for allowing me to join the team. It was an amazing season that gave me memories that will last a lifetime. I currently attend Lake Superior State University in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. I'm currently on track to obtain a Bachelor's of Science degree in elementary education with a concentration in special education. Many teachers and staff members that have been let go or left under your administration were who inspired me to become a teacher. Some I'm looking at right now. I could go on and on about some of my feelings towards your decisions. However, I'm mainly here to speak on behalf of my brother, Joseph Alcorn. Joseph was a 2016 graduate of Danville High School. While at Danville High School, he served as class president all 4 years and captain of Team 104. He is a 2020 West Point graduate, and he is now anticipating the arrival of his baby boy in a week. Both he and I are children of Eric Alcorn, 1986 graduate and member of the 1984 state championship football team. Joseph would like me to read you all this letter he wrote following the news of Coach Clev. An open letter to Coach Clay Clevenger in hopes the school board and administration will hear this and realize the mistake they've made. Hey, Coach, my mom called and told me the news. To say I'm upset would be an understatement, but that seems to be the feeling of the entire community. I just wanted to send you this message to say that if it weren't for your encouragement and leadership, then I wouldn't have gotten nearly as fit as I needed to be to do what I've done, and I doubt I'd have the mental toughness to be where I am or make it through what I've made it through. Most importantly, Coach, thank you for not giving up on me. You never guaranteed me a starting position, which taught me I had to fight for what I wanted. But over that, you never counted me out. You always gave me another chance to earn my spot and put down a challenger and never just got rid of me because I wasn't strong or heavy enough. You taught me so many lessons, Coach, with the 6 a.m. workouts, summer camp, spring practice, Lake Cumberland. My entire experience with Danville High School football is with you at the top, Coach, and I'll never forget that. I still remember our first conversation when I was a
30 seconds.
And you had just become head coach. I was heading upstairs from a workout and you were headed down to the laundry room. You said, "Your name's Joseph, right? Eric's son?" "Yes, Coach. I hear you're pretty smart." "A little bit, yeah. It's really because my mom makes me take hard classes." "That's good. I need smart linemen. We can make you strong easy, but making you smart is a little bit harder. Thank you for all that you've done, Coach, and I know you'll help more players and students in the future, no matter where you are.
Kirby, thank you. And also if you would thank your brother Joseph, please.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Glad you're willing that you had willingness to speak to the board. Okay, our next speaker is Amy Williams. Amy, how are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You have 3 minutes. Mr. McCown will interject it when you have 30 seconds left.
Great.
And then we'll go on from that point. So the podium is yours.
Okay. I am the mother of an upcoming senior admiral. To say he and his fellow upcoming senior teammates feel they got the short end of the stick is an understatement. What is appalling is zero communication with our athletes and parents from administration. Devin was injured in December 2019, which ultimately landed him in UK for several days. We were told his junior season was probably a wash. Devin was told he could only walk during practice, no running, jogging, lifting, and certainly no contact. One particular day, I picked Devin up from practice and he told me he had gotten into trouble because he was trying to run. Coach shut that down real quick. He didn't want Devin to injure himself or go against physician requirements. Devin did eventually get released to play. He played one game and realized his body wasn't ready. He opted to sit out the rest of the season and coach was very supportive. It's my understanding one basis of the decision to let Coach Clevenger go was that he was harassing his players to return to practice or play before restrictions were lifted. I can tell you with absolute certainty in regards to my child, this is untrue. Our athletes are at a great disadvantage. You say it's about the kids, but you've only hurt them. You'll never convince me and hundreds of others that this decision wasn't personal. Do the right thing, reinstate Coach Clevenger, and clean house, starting at the top. Dr. McDonald will be the demise of Danville schools, but it's your job to not let that happen. I also have 2 letters. Coach Clevenger can be defined as a true admiral, a father figure, a disciplinarian, a mentor, and a friend. He is more than a coach. He has taught me that only person that can hold me back is me. He shows tough love, but through that, you learn to do your best. He has taught me to believe in myself and be better. Football to us is more than a game. It's a brotherhood. Coach has strengthened that, and you took it from us. I'll support Coach Clev always. My son, Devin Murphy. Thank you, Coach. You've been a blessing in my life and also my family's life. You were more than a football coach and were an inspiration on the younger and older generations. You believed in me. The decision you made for me on the field may have ultimately cost you in life, and I'm sorry.
30 seconds.
Keep your head up, Coach. You supported me, so I will support you every step of the way. Play the next play, Coach. Sage Dawson. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, for your willingness to speak before the board. Okay, our next speaker is James McClure. Jennings? Jennings, can you hear me? It's Steve Becker.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Welcome to the Danville board and your willingness to speak to us. You have 3 minutes. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Mr. McCown will interject 30 seconds. And then, of course, you'll have 30 seconds left. So the podium is yours.
Thank you, sir, and good evening. My 2 children, Paul and George, are students of this district, and they have been since they walked through the doors of Tolliver as kindergartners, the same doors that welcomed their grandfather in 1940 and their father in 1979. Paul and George are now 7th and 8th graders at Bate Middle School, and I would like to speak about the special people within those school buildings and how they're treated. The people within those school buildings have educated, cared for, and protected our children. realizing that some of those same people have been or could be mistreated, ignored, or cast to the side without any reason from or consequence for the perpetrator is scary. Those same people teach our children life lessons alongside of textbook lessons. The possibility that those same people are treated with anything less than respect from our leadership is unacceptable. And the way that people are treated is most certainly an area for discussion. The Commonwealth of Kentucky Board of Education issued a resolution in July of 2020, and I would like to share the following section with you. The Kentucky Board of Education is committed to delivering on its core promises to every member of our public school system. Every child deserves a high-quality education. Every voice deserves to be heard. Every staff member deserves to be respected in the workplace. Unfortunately, I'm hard-pressed to believe that this administration subscribes to such a commitment even before this current incident turned a spotlight onto us. This disruption was unilaterally created while we are in a worldwide pandemic. We are in uncharted territory, yet I can say that I have seen our teachers and staff in those school buildings working tirelessly to create and improve, even in the most extreme situations. I proudly state that even though they are burdened with their own fears, exhaustion, and anxiety surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, those same people show up for our children every single day. Our administration must do the same, because I believe that the Danville School District, Mr. Merle Clark so eloquently illustrated using his history and knowledge, is still alive. I believe in the power of cooperation so that situations facing us can be prevented or even rectified. To use power in a reckless
30 seconds.
To use power in a reckless fashion and then not talk to children and players, my incoming freshmen being one of those, talking to their coaches or the community affected by this decision is unacceptable. While many think or assume that this public outrage happened only over the firing of a football coach, I'm telling you that the outcry is for communication, respect, unity, and other intrinsic values that are vital to success. And the success of our children is why we're all here. Thank you for your time.
Sorry you ran out of time, and thank you so much for speaking to the board. Our next speaker is Patsy Clevenger.
My fault. I let somebody different in, but we'll let Patsy go ahead, and then we'll let Damon go after Patsy.
Okay. Patsy, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
How are you? Good. I can hear you also.
Good.
Okay, Patsy, it's 3 minutes. Mr. McCown will interject when there's 30 seconds left, and the podium is yours.
All right. Thank you. Good evening. I'm the previous finance director of the Danville Schools, where I had the privilege of working under 3 prior superintendents, Mr. Grimes, Mr. Rowland, and Dr. Coleman. Prior to coming to Danville in 1989, I worked in finance in the Mercer County and Harrodsburg districts. In my 30-plus year career, I worked with 7 different superintendents. I have seen firsthand in those 30 years how school systems should be run, including this one. In 30-plus years, I have never seen a school system operated in such heavy-handed manner. School systems are businesses, and finances have to be managed for the good of the district. Finances should be managed in a way that maximizes programs that touch our students, be they academic, athletic, music, or the arts. I have seen this administration add costly jobs at central office, give administrative raises, while at the same time cutting athletic budgets and jobs held by minorities in our district that work daily with our students. While our schools are a business, our business is people, our students, parents, community, and just as importantly, our staff, both certified and classified. Not only has this superintendent failed in managing the financial resources of the district, she has failed in managing our human resources. She retaliates and punishes anyone who dares to disagree and speak against her ill-informed choices. In 30 plus years, I have never seen a superintendent personally hand out pink slips. In 30 plus years, I have never seen one of those 7 superintendents make such egregious, uninformed decisions. I would like for you to ask why were none of the stakeholders in the football program consulted? Why were none of the stakeholders asked prior to this decision being made their opinion of the job Clay was doing? To whom was the superintendent listening, and what was their agenda? I can say with certainty that it was not an agenda that served the people of your district. It was a self-serving agenda. In 30 plus years, I have never seen one of the other 7 superintendents that I worked for make this type of decision without consulting with their
30
board
seconds.
prior to any action being taken. Not consulting you was purposeful so that the superintendent would get her way. You see, she operates the district in a way that is her way or the highway. The opinions of those that should matter, including you, do not. Finally, in 30 plus years, I have never seen a school district or a board be put in such a horrible position as the one you find yourselves in today. I hope that you will hold Dr. McDonald accountable for her actions. Thank you.
Patsy, thank you very much for your words and willingness to speak before the board. Okay, our next speaker is Damon Jackson.
We've lost Damon. So Damon, if you can hear me, just join the waiting room again and I'll let you in. So we'll move on to the next speaker and I'll let him in as soon as I see him.
Okay, it's Damani Del Rosio.
He's not speaking tonight.
Okay. All right. So Melody.
Oh, I see Damon now. I'm going to let Damon in real quick.
Okay, let him in. Hi, Damon. Can you hear me? It's Steve Becker.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I do. You have 3 minutes. Mr. McCown will interject when you have 30 seconds left. And the podium is yours.
All right. Thank you. First and foremost, I'd like to apologize for how my first interaction with you all went back my senior year before I graduated. I want to say, Dr. McDonald included, you all probably look at me biased because of how I reacted to all of y'all, and that's understandable. But I actually hope you all listen to what I have to say about my coaches and my former teachers. I don't have any money really invested into the program besides fundraisers that we done in high school when I played. And honestly, I don't keep up with the budget cuts and all that stuff. So I don't really have no input on any of that. I'm just here to say, I can tell that losing the sponsors is going to hurt the kids. It's going to hurt my former program or whatnot. And that hurts me just to know that for me, the coaches that all played a role in me maturing and becoming the young man I am today. I struggled so many days in the school system just to get by. Often I get put out of class. Many times I get suspended, little things. And honestly, I questioned myself if I was going to have a future in college, playing football, a lot of things really. And coaches like Coach Clev, Coach Singleton, Coach DB would instantly, they were always installing me like all it would take is just for me to get it together in school, because I definitely always had the talent football-wise. It was just I didn't really have a man around, so I was always just, I don't know how to put it. I was always just wild, really. I was buck wild, and I didn't really have no act right. But all I ever really liked to do was play football, and I could honestly care less about school, honestly. And then Coach Clev and Coach Singleton and Coach DB all changed that, and they preached to me how good I could be if I just get right in class. And since I last walked the halls there, I've grown in many ways, and there are ways that were installed in me from my coaches. They taught me, one thing that they taught me is attitude. Your attitude can only be changed by you, and you can only change that. You can only manage that, keep that how you want it to be. Another thing they taught me was discipline. How disciplined are you going to be, and how are you going to react to situations that are out of your control, like this situation to you, Coach Clev. And the last thing they taught me really was sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice to do and get what you want? And I know what Coach Clev and all my former coaches sacrificed to get what they wanted out of the program. And I hope you all realize what you all have sacrificed doing this and what that has put the hand that is put on the kids in the future. Thank you.
Damon, thank you so much for talking to the board, and we appreciate your comments. All
No
right,
problem. Thank you all.
okay, you're welcome. Brian, is Melody on board?
Yes, I'm letting her in right now.
Okay. Hey, Mel, I think you're on mute.
Hello.
Hey, Melanie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good to
I'm
see
doing
you.
well. You have 3 minutes.
Okay.
And at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Mr. McCown will interject 30 seconds. And then we'll get you up to the 3 minutes, and then the podium is now yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Melody. I'm the mother of a child at the Danville Independent School District. Thanks for the chance to voice my concern tonight. Board of Education, I ask that you read your emails, actually read them. Listen to what our community is saying. Actually read, and do not copy and paste a reply of saying, thank you for emailing. This is more than a sport. This is about our children. Not only are we losing huge sponsors, we're losing faith. We're losing faith that our elected Board of Education members cannot take care of what they are elected to do. Kentucky Department of Education states that you, as Board of Education members, ask for answers from our superintendents. I have numerous emails to our superintendents, Tammy and Sherry, dating back from September of last year that have still gone unanswered. Not all about this football and not all about everything that's going on, but other issues. She does not take emails or phone calls. Why? Isn't this her job as a superintendent, is to answer to us, the parents? We ask that you take charge and ask why our students, above all, are being hurt. Why our students are locked out of their weight room. Why students and coaches aren't being informed of what is happening. What is this new direction that she has chosen? Because our direction is to not have her here. We say we focus on our students' mental health during COVID, yet we neglect and punish them with these very much cowardly decisions and acts at the hands of Tammy. This is all at the hands of someone who feels the need to lead a toxic environment to all, teachers, students, and staff. We can't use the pandemic as an excuse. As last year, we followed all guidelines. So why are the assistant coaches not being allowed to do anything at this given moment? Our students are suffering enough. Our staff does not deserve this. Board, please evaluate this, look into this. Our students depend on you all. Our students' education depends on the decisions that you make. We cut jobs just to hire an assistant superintendent who also does not take phone calls, nor does she answer emails. We cut jobs just to bring in unnecessary positions to our central office. We cut a coach, a weight room position, to only post a new job listing that was so misspelled that we were the laughing stock of the community. We post a job that was said back in numerous meetings.
30 seconds.
To only post it to when our coach was not rehired. Please, board, make them be held accountable for what they are doing. Make them make sense to all of us about what they are doing. Tammy McDonald is and will be the demise of Danville Independent School District.
Melody, thank you very much and appreciate your willingness to come speak toward the board. All right, we're going to move on to item number 6 on the agenda, which is a policy revision. Some of you on the board will remember I asked your all's permission to look into the idea of adding a student to the Board of Education, our Board of Education. And I was able to finally get some research done, and I feel bad about the delay. But I was able to inquire through KSBA on getting some possible policy things settled. I definitely want Mr. Pennington to take a look at this draft. It's basically a draft right now. We haven't done anything yet, but I was hoping that you all had time to take a look at this, and I'm going to ask that you all let me know. Hopefully we can have a little bit of conversation tonight concerning it. If you all want to bring the policy up, McGoffin County has had a student on their board for several years. I do know that Bergen has had a student on their board for many years. And what I was seeking was information about how information is handled, how possibly attendance is handled, how the students are even selected to be on the board. And in this policy that we have before us, they pretty much cover all that. So this would be considered, and I want to make sure, Ms. Osborne, I'm correct, that this would be considered a first reading. So we would not be voting on this, but I really want you all to study this. And if you have any suggestions or ways that you all would prefer things be, then we can list those things, send that to KSBA. KSBA will come down with a policy. It would be a draft. We would be able to take a look at it. And then I'm hoping in our first meeting in March, which I think is the 8th, hopefully I'm not wrong on that date, but I think it is, we can come back, that's the work session, and we can actually take advantage of the work session and talk about the aspects of that policy. Does anybody have any questions or concerns at this point?
Mr. Becker? The work session is the 8th.
It's the 8th. Okay, good.
Was this not supposed to be a teacher as well? I thought we said
No,
a teacher and a student.
I couldn't remember if we actually had decided on a teacher. I'd say that possibility could exist. You know, they would not be official board members.
Well, yes, that's correct. I mean, they're ex officios, but I thought I could have, when we met about this, I thought we said a student and a teacher. Can we go back? Can we find that out?
I'd be happy to give our KSBA representative a call tomorrow and find out if any of the boards do have teacher reps.
Fayette County does. Yes.
Yeah,
I know that there's some boards in the state that does.
Okay. All right. Well, we can take a look at that. And like I said, we don't have to do this in a hurry. I'd rather get it researched correctly. And other board members, do you all feel adding a teacher as an ex officio is a good idea, not a good idea?
No, I think that's fine. It sounds good to me. I think to have their expertise will be fine.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments?
No, I don't have a problem with it, but I just need to see. I don't remember seeing the policy, so just send me the policy.
Okay, it's on your e-meeting, but if you're having an issue with that,
okay, I'll check it out.
Okay, I'll make sure you get the policy tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Does anybody else need a copy of the policy?
You can send one to me if you will. I just got into e-meeting today or this afternoon with Ms. Osborne's guidance. So I have not had an opportunity to look at it at all.
Okay.
And I'm supportive of having a teacher as a member, an ex officio member. I think if we're going to listen to the student voice, we could listen to staff voice as well.
Okay, it looks like everyone seems to be in agreement with that. So I will proceed on to get more information for all of us. And I'll make sure that anything I get soon, I'll get sent out to you guys. And then we can come back on March the 8th at the work session and talk about it further. If we're not ready to vote on it at that time, it's fine. We can still come up with, make sure we have a good policy and direction from KSBA. Does anybody else have any comments on this at this point?
And not having seen it, maybe I shouldn't comment, but I think the important part to making this successful is having a definite structured way of how the representatives are chosen. I think that's important. I don't think they should just be, drawn out of a hat or someone, group picks them. Maybe they need to choose their own representative. I don't know, but I think that's important to making it work well and being a positive addition to the board.
Paige, I totally agree. Yeah, go ahead, Wade.
Well, I was going to say that's excellent, and I totally agree with all of that. The way I've seen it done is that it's not one person all the time. It's a different person, each cycle. So every school, gets an opportunity to have a rep, come before the board. So whether it be a site-based council parent rep or student or however that, but that same kind of a process of election, definitely, not just a drop in a hat. You are correct.
Okay, yeah.
So you're saying rotate between schools?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that okay?
Then it doesn't put the burden on one teacher, they're already busy, but and it doesn't make them have to come to every meeting, so they get a chance to come before the board, be a part of the work session and the board, and and be able to express some concerns to the board, from their particular area, or school, and then the next rotation, another school gets to come, and then we'll just keep a rotating cycle, because as small as we are, they'll eventually in 3 or 4 times get to come back, before the board again.
One thing in the policy, I was going to say that the student is selected. There would be an establishment of a principal advisory committee, and it would involve students from all 4 levels at the high school. But that's what's in there. But we'll make sure that we get that sent out tonight to you guys to make sure you can read it. The interesting thing now is figuring out how we would establish that rotation of folks, especially either teachers or. So Wade, are you saying that it doesn't have to be a teacher? It could be a site-based council person or what?
Well, no. I was just using that as an example. I mean, the teacher. I was meaning the teacher rep on the council.
Okay.
I think by having it rotate between all the schools and everybody gets a voice in the whole process. So Hogsett, Tolliver, Bake Middle School, Danville High School, all of them get to be a part of participant in that. And I think that gives a good overhaul view to the board and to the community what's going on.
Well, considering that we have the 4 schools, it would be really easy to let each one of them rotate and serve for 3 months. You could let school have the teachers and the staff do a nomination process, and then the teachers vote. So they're selected by their peers and then serve for a 3-month term. And so each 12-month period, you would have, a representative from each school for 3 months selected by their peers.
Well, in this particular policy that's been presented, the terms wouldn't even start till July the 1st and would go until June 30. So that would be an entire school year, and that would be a good time to start, so we don't have to jump into this so quickly, because we do want to make sure it's correct. Generally, the students that have been on boards are really there kind of as a go-between between the student body and the school board and superintendent, and really there as an advisory. And I would think that we might look at whoever the teacher reps might be at that point, that we might need to have some defined things on what the role is. So, but we will get working on that. Dr. McDonald, I'll be calling on you to get a little help so we can get some ideas on how to structure it. So thank you all very much. It's a great day to be an Admiral. All right, number 7, we have the start and end times for schools. Mr. Ballard?
Yes, sir. Yes, our start and end times, I've met with the principals and the transportation manager. We've taken input from last year and this year as well, and actually even 4 years back about start and end times. And so this is our proposed start and end time. The difference between this one and our current year is we currently have a 7.5-hour day or 420 minutes of instruction with 30 minutes of passing time and lunch. This year, we would like to go back to our traditional 390 minutes or 6.5 hours of instruction with a full 7-hour day. And the difference this year than in previous years on this same time frame is we're going to go ahead. We're proposing that the preschool Hogsett primary and the Tolliver intermediate all start and end 7:50 and end at 2:50. So all three of those would be synced up at the exact same start times. Bait and Danville High School would have a start time of 8:30 and a end time of 3:30, which is slightly different than last year where there were 15 minutes offset. And then the Anchor Academy would be 9 to 4, starting 30 minutes later than the high school and middle school. As you can see below, we traditionally have always had the doors open at 40 minutes prior to the start time at each location. That gives each school plenty of time to get the students fed who show up on earlier buses or get dropped off in the car rider lines. I would ask that we, if we could get some input as far as the getting it passed for this one, just because we've sent out a survey and some of the comments preliminary for our calendars have been centered around, is it going to be a 6.5 hour instruction day or a 7-hour day? And so with this information, if we can get this passed tonight, then I can pass that on and be able to use that in our, as we sort through our survey results next week.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes, ma'am.
I really like the 8:30 start time for Bade in the high school. I think research says middle school especially benefits from a later start time. It takes them a while to get going. If I put on my mother hat and I'm thinking about getting people ready and getting to work and all that, I see, 40 minutes between preschool Hogs and Tolliver and then Bade in the high school. Is that too much in between if you are trying to juggle children at more than one school?
Having not had to do that, I can't speak for parents, but I do know it has come up. And last year when we were in person, Bate actually was starting at 8:45, the high school 8:30, and the two elementary schools had different times. So this was one attempt to try to sync that up. But the doors opening at 40 minutes before the Bate in the high school, if you're dropping off your elementary student, you could drop them off. And by the time you got to the middle or high school, those doors would be open as well. As I guess that's kind of the dad had trying to answer that question.
One of the reasons why we do have that gap in between our elementary and our secondary schools is for our bus routing, because each of our our bus drivers, they do 2 routes. So we have to have the time in between the elementaries and the secondaries in order for them to go back and completely run a route a second time through the district to pick up the kids in the middle and the high school.
Okay, thanks, Dr. McDonald. Any board members? Anybody else have any comments or concerns? Okay, so Mr. Ballard, you want to approve this tonight so we can get it submitted to the schools and parents and so forth, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we need a motion, please.
I make a motion that we approve the schedule as presented by Mr. Ron Ballard for the next school year.
We need a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve the start and end times for the 21-22 school year as submitted. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you all very much. Mr. Ballard, thank you also.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to item number 8, which I know I'm glad we've gotten this settled. So this is basically a contract for CDL driving exam service. This is through Laurel County. This is much needed, obviously. So have you all had a chance to take a look at the contract? Okay.
I have.
Okay. Dr. McDonald, can you chime in a little bit about this?
Yeah, it's a contract that we would just use on an as needed basis. So of course, we're not obligated for any payment unless we use the service. And we do pieces of the training to help individuals get their CDL to be bus drivers for the district. We've had with COVID difficulty in finding locations in order to provide the driving portion of the exam for anyone that's seeking their CDL. So at this time, this is the closest one and the only one that we can find currently that we'll be able to use. So this is needed for our district. We do have a couple that are in training currently.
Yeah, we don't have the luxury that we used to have where we had in-house trainers. And so I'm glad that Laurel County is able to pick it up for us. So we need to, now let me ask this, if we have 2 prospective drivers, is it the same charge per hour, whether it's 2 or 1, or do we know?
It would, so they would actually take the exam, like so it would take twice as much time. I mean, they have to drive during the exam. So even if we took 2 at one time, the amount of time we would be there would be double. So.
Okay, just wanting to make sure. All right. Any board members have any comments or concerns?
No, I mean, just to say, I mean, we have to have this to have drivers. So, I mean, it's almost like we don't have a choice because in order to complete your training, you have to go before a driver trainer and they have to be licensed. So we have to go wherever they are, whether it be Frankfort or Laurel County. And $25 an hour, it's not terrible, but it is it's a necessity for us to continue to be able to train and license bus drivers.
Agreed. So we need to get a motion for this, please.
I'll submit the motion that we accept the contract with the Laurel County commercial drivers examiners.
Okay, we need a second.
Second.
So we have a motion, a second to approve of the contract for CDL driving exam services as submitted. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing there are none, the motion carries. Okay, now we're down to reports. Mrs. Osborne. Okay, we're going to look at the finance report.
Yeah, Tammy, are you going to share it or? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, this month it's a little different. I got finished with the finance report on Thursday, and due to the weather, it looks a little different this month. It's basically the same information. I will send you all the revised when I get it ready, but all the numbers are the same. You'll see for the month of January, we had a beginning balance of $965,984.30. Total receipts were $1,605,722.78. Total disbursements, $1,936,359.48, which left us a balance at the end of the month of $10,635,347.60. And then in the second section, you'll see where it's broken down by fund. And then, of course, the third section is where we matched what the bank said. Any questions on that? And then Tammy, if you'll scroll to the next page. This is all of our claims, which is the bills we pay for accounts payable. And of course, our payrolls for the month of January. That's where we got the $1,936,359.48. And then go to the next page, please. This is all the receipts for the month. And then, of course, normally I send you the first page of the bank statement, and it's in my office. So I will, once I get back to work, I'll make sure you guys have a copy of it. Any questions?
Is that a donation we've made to United Way? Is that what that is?
No, that is for our Family First program. They donate money to us. The Heart of Kentucky.
Yeah, so that's income.
Yes, it comes every month.
Thank you.
And Teresa, how are we looking on our tax collections right now?
The end of January, we had collected 93% of the bills, which is around 96% of the money. So we've got about $290,000 outstanding.
Right. Thank you. Sounds good.
You're welcome.
Steve, I reviewed everything from Sister Osborne. Everything's okay.
Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate you doing that. That's a nice role that you play for us, to be with Mrs. Osborne and reviewing the books. Mrs. Osborne, are we on the same course for collection of the taxes as we have been in the past?
I think we're up this year. I think we've collected it faster this year.
All right. Well, that's a blessing. With all that's been going on. Greatly appreciate your efforts and getting all this taken care of. I'll be honest, I like this format, so it's just easier for me to read. So anyways, it's up to you, however you want to do it. So that'll be great. We need a motion, please.
I make a motion of the approval of the January financial report is submitted.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for the approval of the January financial report. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we have the payment of invoices. Mrs. Osborne?
Okay, and you've also got an attachment, of course, for all of our vendor bills for the month. I'm going to point out a few of them to you. On page 2, being it's so cold outside, I thought I'd show you what the gas bill was in the month of January. It's to Atmos Energy, and it was for $7,060.16. On page 3, you'll see Bull County Sheriff. That is for our SROs. On page 12, I had a question about this one. That is for transformations. If you'll recall, last month, we gave them, I want to say a 30-day notice that we were going to stop those services. Well, this is the next to the last bill. We've just paid the final bill last week. So you'll see more charges in February. And then on page 12 and 13, it's number 3 of our Walsall paper installments for $55,785.41. We have 3 more payments and we'll have Walsall paid off. So any other questions?
Hallelujah.
Do we have, I'm a newbie, so this is a real newbie question. Do we have anything in place to make sure that we have no more surprises like Walsall paper?
Well, with Walsall,
way to do that.
Right. I don't know of a way to do that. We've talked to the PVA about that, but as she explained in the January meeting, they're self-reporting. So they don't necessarily report it to us. They report to the PVA, and the checks and balances they have in place are to trust them to do their own reporting. So I don't know of a way to make it to where that doesn't happen anymore.
Do we have many businesses / companies that would be that damaging if they were incorrect?
It's possible. Miss Gibson talked to us about, she said it wasn't likely. I know we've had discussions about a company, just in January. But it's kind of hard to say, being they're allowed to self-report, and then the Department of Revenue, who they audit them, it's kind of out of our hands. We don't have any control over what they report, how much they're supposed to pay, and whether or not it's correct.
I just wondered if there was anybody we needed to send a postcard to tell them to check once and then check twice to make sure that they were accurate.
Well, these are huge accounts. Therefore, if something is wrong just due to human error, it's a little painful, but I think overall, most of them are correct.
Well, it doesn't seem that we ought to bear all the pain for their mistake.
I agree.
Okay.
Well, and I'm in total agreement with that, Paige. There are no checks and balances. As Mrs. Osborne has said, it's a self-reporting. Then all of a sudden they figure out they've overpaid. And so the damage to the school district, which is ours, we're the largest holder. There's others that get hit with this also, library, fire, there's different other taxing districts, so experience this, but we take the biggest hit. I believe it's wrong. I've tried to reach out to our representatives. They don't want to touch it, but I think we're going to have to do something. I've let some folks at KSBA know that this has gone on with us especially, and they have told me that other districts have experienced this, and that we're going to have to get pretty insistent with the revenue department on at least being able to come up with a fair way to do this. I've been pretty strong on this. I think it's a horrible situation that Wausau alone, major money that comes directly out of our general funds. It prevents us from, if we need to buy a boiler or whatever we need to do, we've got to watch our monies. I do believe that the next company that Corning, I think it's appalling that there's absolutely no communication from them to us, at least to talk about this situation. But we have got to do something, because there could be no end to this. Somebody could just all of a sudden decide we're going to do an audit, and then, I'm sorry, Danville, it's going to cost you, $500,000. And we have no control over this. So I'm urging this board to strongly recommend that we look into whatever it takes. If something's going to cost this school district possibly $900,000, we need to be willing as a board to invest to try to get this situation fixed. So I'm telling you guys, this is really serious.
Who makes the determination on how quickly the money has been paid to be paid back? If the error was 5 years ago, couldn't we at least have 5 years to pay it back?
Well, I mean, there is and maybe Mr. Pennington can help on this. I know there's a statute of limitation on how far they can go back. Most of these two companies we've dealt with have gone back basically 3 years. And so that's obviously within the statute of limitation. But it's one thing if we made the mistake, but it's another thing when they sort of rubber stamp these things, and then they get audited from their own company, and they go, oh my gosh, y'all have way overpaid this. And then without any regard to a small school district, the horrible cost that we pay. And we've got to get a better handle on this. Mr. Pennington, do you know what the statute of limitation is? Your mute's on. Vince, your mute is on.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
I think it is a 3-year statute of limitations. And when we worked through with Wausau, the payment plan, that was really, the payback plan was really by negotiation. As I recall, there's not a statutory answer in response to Ms. Stevens' question about how long do you have and that sort of thing, that we worked out that installment plan. And you know, seems like one of the things this board and other boards could really do would be to press KSBA to lobby for a shortened statute of limitations. I mean, if it would, I don't know if we're really going to get rid of the problem totally, but if the statute of limitations could be shortened, that would be a great help.
Well, and that's something that we could convey. I've talked with some folks already, because like I said, this isn't just Danville. This could be any district in the state, where it could be where it generally is very costly, because these are generally large corporations. So you can handle the little ones, but when you're talking about losing revenue of close to $1 million, we can't keep doing that.
And you can't plan for it other than to take the approach you're going to build up and maintain some sort of tremendous reserve. And if you do that, then you're taking money away from all the other important programs you need to be funding. So it's a real problem.
It is, and I'm hoping that we can face this head on. But somebody's got to get this ball rolling, and unfortunately, it's probably going to be us. But I think it's really important that we do it. So I will get off my soapbox. Appreciate Teresa. I always appreciate everything you do, and this is really a hard pill to swallow, because I love our school district. Like Mr. Pennington said, you can't plan for this. And so how in the world do you even come up with a budget? And then all of a sudden you might be writing checks for $300,000-$400,000 because of something that we have no control over. So I'm hoping that we can at least start fixing that. Okay, let's move on to, we need to do approval of the invoices. Don't let me forget, Mrs. Osborne. So we need a motion, please.
I make a motion that we approve the payment of invoices as presented.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for the approval of invoices totaling $754,307.52. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. I hope everybody's taken a look at the consent agenda. We've grouped them together for approval without discussion. So if we could have a motion, please.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda without discussion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda without discussion and as submitted. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Mr.
those
Becker,
opposed? Sir?
Was there a motion to accept the finance report, or is that purely informational?
No, we did a motion on it. I went back and corrected that. So yes, we did. Okay. So we have a motion and a second on the consent agenda, and it's been approved. The motion's been approved. Before and I wanted to make sure this is okay, Mr. Pennington, before we jump into an executive session, I'd like to take a 5-minute break, and then we come back and then go into the executive session. Is that okay? Procedurally, is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. All right. So if everybody will turn their mics off and their video, then we'll return.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
So there's the link for the executive session. So I'll need to log off to be able to open that link. So I'm going to log off here and open that link. I see that Chris Tucker's already joined the other link, so I need to open that up for him. So
Okay, that'll work. Mr. Pennington, on this format that we're in right now, do we go ahead and read why we're going into executive session and then we go to the new link to conduct the executive session?
That's correct. We need a motion and a second and a vote to go into executive session. And then the members will sign off and log in on the separate link.
Okay, Mr. Stanfield, are you willing to read all that? Make the motion?
Absolutely.
All right.
Before
Are
you
we
make
back
the
in?
motion, can I say something, please?
Sure.
I hope this is the last time that we have to do an executive session on Zoom. I'm new and I've got a lot to learn, but I'm very uncomfortable with having a confidential meeting like this on Zoom. I really don't, I hope we don't have to do it again because I really don't want to participate. I would rather that we discuss anything that we have to discuss in executive session in person rather than this way. I just want
I
to be
agree
on
with
the
that.
And Paige,
Absolutely.
I agree,
I agree with that.
That would be the ideal situation. I do have assurances from Dr. McDonald and Brian that when we go into this is that it will be totally private, that it's not going to be recorded. It'll be just us. We're not.
Will one of us be made host so that we can control the board?
I don't know. I haven't even thought about that, Wade.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, if one of us is the host, I'm a little bit better because then we can see who's in with us and who's not.
And that might be something that we can, it can be changed as we get into it. One reason that I wanted to have this executive session is that we're getting way behind on some things that we need to talk about. And it does make it difficult with not only just the COVID situation, but also the weather right now. So,
I understand completely why we're doing it. I'm just saying
She hopes that it never happens again. Yeah.
Well, and I'm gonna be real honest with you all. If the next time around you all want to meet in person, it'll be fine, but I will not until I get out of this health situation that I'm in. I'm getting real personal. I've got things to deal with as far as a kidney removal and different things coming up.
And if you feel up to it, you could join us by maybe FaceTime or another way or something like that. I just feel like that, you know, the things that I expect to discuss in executive session over the years, I just think that having it just feels like having it in public to me.
Well, let me just pass this by you all. If you all would rather meet in person, we can add this executive session onto the 25th meeting. And at that point, I still won't attend the meeting, but if we can figure out a way that I can be there virtually, and I think Brian's been able to work on that. I don't have a problem with that. We don't have to conduct that session today. We're not adding to the.
I'm not trying to delay things. I just think that it's a concern for me.
Okay, well, just give me your preferences. What do y'all want to do?
Well,
It doesn't really bother to me, but I think there's a couple of things that's on there that we need to get some information on.
Agreed.
Well, if you all, let's just go ahead. If you all are comfortable, I just wanted to say that.
Okay.
No, and I'm glad you did, and that's been a lot of the reasoning behind not doing executive sessions on Zoom, because there has been a discomfort.
Mr. Becker can check. I mean, I brought up that very same concern.
Yes.
Yep.
Agreed. Well, let's give this a whirl. Like I said, I've been given assurances between Brian and Dr. McDonald that the executive session will be totally private. Once we have our discussion, then we will come out of it. We will come out of this, go back to the other Zoom, and then come out, formally come out of executive session, and then we would vote to adjourn. So are we okay with all this, you all? Seriously?
Now, if I lose you, I'll catch up as soon as I can. Figure out what to do.
Okay. So let's go on and move to item 11. And Wade, I know it's a lot to read, but if you don't mind making the motion, and then whoever wants to second, it will be fine.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we enter into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810 subsection 1K and KRS 156.557 section sub 6C for preliminary discussion regarding the superintendent's annual evaluation, and in a separate matter pursuant to KRS 61.1810 section 1C to discuss potential litigation, the discussion of which would comprise litigation posture.
Second motion.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to go into executive session for.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Could I ask if Mr. Stanfield would amend that motion? He doesn't have to read it all over, but just to reflect that it would be potential and pending litigation, both potential and pending litigation.
I will make the amendment that it reads potential and pending litigation.
Okay.
Second that.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing there are none, the motion passes. So we're going to go into the next field. Okay, the next, check your email.
Yeah,
Okay.
everyone will need to end this meeting, and then you can jump back on when you're ready to come back live.
So Brian, do we end it or just leave?
Just leave. Yeah,
Okay,
leave.
thank you.
Mhm.
There you go, Paige. Y'all see? You muted though. I couldn't hear you.
No, I said it's because Tammy set me up on that last one by giving me both links in the same email.
There's Mimi.
Hey, darling.
There she is.
She's grown a beard. I don't know what's wrong.
I like to
Okay,
make a
Vince,
motion.
now, go ahead.
No, I was going to make a motion. That's enough of us here to adjourn.
Oh yeah, we can adjourn if you want to make the motion.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
Wait a minute. Let me do it right. I'd like to officially make the motion that we adjourn at this time.
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all. It was a good meeting. I appreciate it very much.